Greetings, friends. We are opening 3 more packs of Dominaria United set boosters here. That is going to be 36 cards for you to enjoy. We'll see if we get anything real hot. The first half of the video, what we're going to do is open the packs, just see what we got. Second half of the video, we're going to go through some of the cards that I like for whatever reasons, and we're going to try to see if any of those are going to make it into my decks, or if maybe they might be builds of their own. So let's get started here. The art card is Shieldred. Not signed, but it'll do. Okay, Mountain, nothing fancy about that. Impede Momentum, a sorcery for 2. Tap target creature and put 3 stun counters on it, and then scry 1. Okay, Tattered Apparition, it's a 2/2 shade for 4. It's got flying, and it's inflatable if you pay 2. Destroy Evil is an instant for 2. I can choose one of these 2 modes. Destroy target creature with toughness 4 or greater, or destroy target enchantment. Dragon Whelp, we're back to the days of alpha and beta with new art. It's a 3/2 dragon for 4 with flying, and it's inflatable, but you can only pump it up a few times before you gotta sacrifice it. Balduvian Berserker, it's a 1/3 core berserker for 3 with enlist. When it dies, it deals damage equal to its power to any creature. Okay. Elias Core Sadistic Pilgrim, it's a 2/2 Phyrexian Core Cleric Legendary for 2 with Death Touch. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Baird Argivian Recruiter is a 2/2 Legendary Human Soldier for 2. At the beginning of your end step, if you control a creature with power greater than its base power, create a 1/1 white soldier creature token. Okay. Radha, Coalition Warlord. Radha is back in the form of a 3/3 Legendary Elf Warrior for 4 with Domain. Whenever she becomes tapped, another target creature you control gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Ragefire Hellcat. Alright, now we're talking 5/3 dragon for 6 with flying. Whenever it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, it gains double strike until end of turn. Oh boy. The Elder Dragon War is an enchantment saga for 4 with read ahead. 1. The Elder Dragon War deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. 2. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. 3. Create a 4/4 red dragon creature token with flying. Pretty tasty. Coral Colony, it's a 1/4 wall for 2. It's got Defender. You can pay 2, tap it, and target player mills X cards, where X is the number of creatures you control with Defender. Okay, and it's a shiny. Okay, and Insect Token. Oh, look at him. He's so properly dressed. Alright, that is pack number 1. Let's look at pack number 2. Nope, didn't quite make it all the way down on that one. Let's see. And our art card is that guy. Okay, nondescript for us. Furious Bellow. It's an instant for 2. Target creature gets +3/+0 and gains first strike until a turn and scry 1. Battle Rage Blessing. It's an instant for 2. Target creature gains Death Touch and Indestructible until end of turn. Molten Monstrosity. It's a 5/5 Hellion for 8. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest power among creatures you control. It's a 5/5 Trample. Okay. Mossbeard Ancient. It's a 7/7 Tree Folk for 7 with Trample. When it ETBs, you gain 5 life. Okay. Frostfist Strider, a 4/4 Elemental Giant for 5 with Ward 2. When Frostfist Strider enters the battlefield, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. Inscribed Tablets, an artifact for 1. You can pay 1, tap it, sack it, reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a land card from among them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. If you didn't put a card in your hand this way, draw a card. Elias Core Sadistic Pilgrim, 2/2 Legendary Phyrexian Core Cleric for 2. With Death Touch, whenever another creature ETBs under your control, you gain 1 life. Whenever another creature you control dies, each opponent loses 1 life. Got the Rona, Shieldred's Faithful. 3/4 legendary human wizard for 4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. When you cast her from your graveyard, or you may cast her from your graveyard by discarding 2 additional cards in addition to paying its other cost. Oh, fuck, yes. Let's go. Lily is here. Liliana of the Veil comes in with Loyalty 3. She's our Planeswalker for 3. Each player discards a card. Target player sacrifices a creature. Up to her +1, each player discards a card. Her -2, target player sacrifices a creature. And her -6, separate all permanents target player controls into 2 piles. That player sacrifices all permanents in the pile of their choice. Yeah. Runvelt Hordemaster. It's a 1/1 Goblin Warrior for 2. Other goblins you control get +1/+1. Whenever it or another goblin you control dies, exile the top card of your library. If it's a goblin creature card, you may cast that card until your next turn. Okay. Right. Gibbering Barricade, 2/4 Nightmare Wall for 3. With Defender, you can pay 2, sack a creature, you gain 1 life, and draw a card. And it's a shiny. And our token, oh wait, it's not a token, it's a whole thing. Interesting. Dominarios. I don't hate it. Let's figure that out. Okay. And moving on to pack number 3. I think we're making good time on these. The art card is that thing. We got an island. Battlefly Swarm, 1/1 Phyrexian Insect for 1. Flying Battlefly. You can pay 1. Battlefly Swarm gains Death Touch until end of turn. Okay. Voda Sea Scavenger, 3/2 Merfolk Rogue for 2. Domain. When it ETBs, look at the top X card of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. You may put 1 of those cards on top of your library, but the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Contaminated Aquifer, gotta love the dual lands. Meteorite, an artifact for 5. When it ETBs, it deals 2 damage to any target. You can pay, or you can tap it to add 1 mana of any color. It is literally a mana rock from outer space. That's really expensive. Slimefoot Survey, no, that doesn't belong there. It belongs there. Slimefoot Survey. It's a sorcery for 4. Domain, search your library for up to 2 land cards that each have a basic land type. Put them into the battlefield tapped. Then shuffle. Look at the top X card of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, it's a lot of text on that. Nael Avizoa Aeronaut, 2/4 Legendary Elf Scout for 4 with Flying and Domain. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is the number of basic land types among lands you control. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom in a random order. If there are 5 basic land types among lands you control, draw a card. Also, a lot of text. Electrostatic Infantry, 1/2 Dwarf Wizard for 2 with Trample. Whenever you cast an instant sorcery spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Electrostatic Infantry. Knight of Dusk's Shadow. It's a 2/2 human knight for 2 with Menace. Your opponents can't gain life. That's brutal. You can pay 2, and it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Another Rona. 3/4 Legendary Human Wizard for 4. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life. You may cast her from your graveyard by discarding 2 cards in addition to paying its other costs. King Darien, the 9,000th. The 3/2 Legendary Human Soldier for 3. Other creatures you control get +1/+1. Cool. You can pay 5 to put a +1/+1 counter on King Darien and creates a 1/1 white soldier creature token. You can sack them, and creature tokens you control gain hexproof and indestructible until end of turn. That's fantastic. Phyrexian Missionary, love the position. 2/3 Phyrexian Human Cleric for 2 with kicker of 2. It's got lifelink. Whenever it ETBs, if it was kicked, return a target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. And our token, it's not a token, it's just an add card. That blows. Alright, so I'm going to pause this right now, and I'm going to take a look at what we got and see if any of these cards are going to make it into some decks or maybe be builds of their own. Be back in just a few. All right, friends, it's time to get back to it. These are some cards that I found interesting that I'm potentially going to use or maybe even build. We'll see. Starting with Impede Momentum. It's a sorcery for 2. Tap target creature and put 3 stun counters on it. I'm really liking this stun mechanic. I think it'll be cool. And then on top of that, you get to scry 1. And like you know, I think scry is extremely underrated. Okay, Destroy Evil. It's an instant for 2 with choose 1. Destroy target creature toughness 4 or greater. That's a pretty good sized creature. Or destroy target enchantment. I think for 2, that's just cheap removal. That's going to be a good value. Battlefly Swarm for 1, flying at 1/1. You can pay 1 to give it Death Touch. That's good cheap defense. Or if they forget it, it's good cheap removal too. Coral Colony, it's a 1/4 wall with Defender for 2. You can pay 2, tap it, and target player mills X card, where X is the number of creatures with Defender you control. I've got an Arcades deck. It's got nothing but defenders, and it can mill. Like, I can mill somebody for 10 pretty easily for 2 mana. That's going in there for sure. Inscribed Tablet. This is going to be the ramp card of this deck for anything that's not in green. So we're going to keep that going. Ragefire Hellkite. It's a 5/3 dragon for 5 with flying. When it attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, Ragefire Hellkite gains double strike. A 5 power double striker coming at you. That's scary. The Elder Dragon War to Saga deals 2 damage to each creature and each opponent. In this deck with dragons, the Dragon, there's not going to be very many of my creatures that are going to be affected by 2 damage. Discard any number of cards, then draw that many cards. That's a Wheel of Fortune. That's a $300 card. You can pay 2, create a 4/4 red dragon creature token flying. That's going to add to all the dragons in this Dragon deck that I've been building for several years and still don't have it in cardboard. All right, Runevelt Horde Master. It's a goblin that gives other goblins buffs. And when it or another goblin that I control dies, I can cast more goblins. I like this. This is definitely going to be going in my Krenko deck. Add to the Goblin Horde. Liliana of the Veil. God, that's just such a pretty card. Yeah, that's going to be going in my Atraxa Super Friends deck. My Atraxa right now is currently a 1/1 build, but I'm switching it over to Super Friends. She's going to be a part of it. Let me know what you think of any of these. Like, comment, subscribe, do all the usual stuff. We'll see you next time.